Are you telling me, or all of us, that first day?
First day was the first time I had ever touched commercial baking equipment.
Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
Well, Gage, welcome. Thanks for being on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So I'm just going to turn the microphone now in English for our people, microphone over to you. Give us the few-minute backstory of how you got started doing this bakery. It kind of sounds cool.
Yeah, well, it is cool. So Breaüxdoo had been, and we'll start off by saying it's pronounced Breaüxdoo. It's not a word. It's Breaüxdoo like voodoo. That's how I always tell people, so they'll remember. I had this idea in 2017, and it was the same year that a lot of things happened in my life. Okay. And so, I was just kind of manifesting it, knowing that I wanted to be a baker, knowing that I wanted to have a cool punk rock, location in either Seattle or Spokane to start. And so my girlfriend and I, we had moved to Seattle, and I had gotten a job at a place called Biscuit Bitch. And that was like a whole different world for me because, I had worked corporate, jobs for the entirety of my young adult life. And so, going to this place where you would wake up, make biscuits and gravy, say, "What up, bitches? What can I get you?" That kind of environment was just so different to me. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And it was a single female owned, she goes by the name of Kimmy Spice. It's got quite the allure to it. But that's her real name. And she founded Biscuit Bitch by herself and still owns it outright today. And she was just like the coolest owner. And the way that she ran this business was for her people. She would give people profit sharing. She would take them, if you've been with her for 2 years, she'll take you to Florida over Christmas break for 2 weeks. Paid, closed down the shops. The way that this woman ran her business was so inspiring to me. So that was kind of the starting point to Breaüxdoo, knowing that that's how I wanted it to be. And then tying my idea with her morals and ethics and the way that she ran things together, which then eventually led me to opening it in 2020. We opened May 23rd of 2020. So kind of, 2 months after the coronavirus hit. And when we all thought it was still a flesh-eating plague, so we were like, "Oh, anybody want a cookie?" And so I had found this commissary downtown, and they had posted an ad that they were renting out some space. And so I hit them up, said, "Hey, I want to start this bakery, and I didn't have much money. I just knew that this is what I wanted to do." And so, I had a private investor give me just a small portion of money. It was 10 grand. Okay. I was like, you know what, let's just try this out. And so we opened, and we did a Kickstarter to kind of do a pre-sale weekend just to see how, we would do. And then we oversold it by $1,000, and we were like, all right, well, here we go. So we had opened, we did all the baking a day before, and then baked off all the cookies the day of. And it was total insanity and super cool. Like, the response was awesome. But I had never baked in a commercial kitchen. I had never worked at a bakery. I was just a self-taught home baker. Okay. I did a small portion of culinary school the last 2 years of my high school education. But other than that, it was just basically sitting in front of my computer for 2 years straight, watching, baking videos and doing testing recipes and trial and error, and just seeing, I know what good food tastes like. Look at me. So it was just teaching myself the technique. Yeah, right. So it was just teaching myself the technique, and nowadays with social media, anything's possible. So
sure.
I wasn't in the position to go fly to France and work under a great pastry chef and do that route. So you just do what you can, and here we are.
So you had never baked in a commercial kitchen before that first day?
Before that, I'd worked in restaurant kitchens, but never operated, giant 60-quart mixers that sound like airplanes taking off when you start them up. I'd never used convection ovens that were commercial grade. That was all foreign to me.
So make sure I'm tracking this. Are you telling me, or all of us, that first day
was the first time I had ever touched commercial baking equipment?
Wow. Okay. You are either really brave or really dumb, and I don't mean to insult you, but
you were faced with you either do or you don't.
Right, no.
I know I could make good things, but it was just with my KitchenAid at home and my home convection oven.
Sure.
And so I knew what a good recipe was and what it would take to get me there. And so, the day I had hired some trained bakers to work on my team with me that had gone to culinary school, had a passion for it. Prior to having them on board, I had just gone in there and tested it out, just looked at the commercial kitchen and, oh my God, these are full-size sheet pans. Sweet. A walk-in. Awesome. It was totally, the baking side of it was foreign, but working in restaurants, my mom owns a restaurant, so I'd worked there for a while. I'd worked at a place called Breaüxdoo here in Spokane. It's in Kimball Yards, super cool, Neapolitan wood-fired pizza.
Oh, very cool.
And then, of course, Biscuit Bitch. But it was definitely a risk. It was all or nothing.
So how many cookies did you guys bake that first day?
Oh my gosh, I can't remember how many exactly, but I had taken a video, and I mean, it was probably close to 2,000 cookies, and and then we had to deliver those 2,000 cookies because we're a delivery dessert place. So it was, and I had my little brother. He was with me. We were making routes at home on these Google Maps because we had hundreds of addresses to go to, and trying to find the most efficient way to do it. I mean, it was all foreign, and we were like, you know what, we're just gonna try it out, and it's gone great.
You totally winged it. The first night you just
100%.
That's I admire you for this. Seriously. I mean, on one hand, you're like, what are you thinking? On the other hand, it's like, wow, that's cool. That's very cool. All right. So you survived the first night, and we're talking today. So you've obviously done okay. So good for you. What's different today from day one? I mean,
well, we were renting a commissary downtown in the bus plaza, which is a super weird combination to have this, late night dessert bakery in a bus station. It was Greyhound. And so, you never know what you're going to get when you come and pick up your order, or every night was different. But in November, the landlord had told me that they were going to double my rent plus some. Oh. So for the same amount of space. And so I was faced with, okay, well, we either can't pay that because it was wildly absurd. I could have had the most beautiful bakery in town, or I can figure it out and buy my own commissary. And so that's what I did. Bought my own commissary, which I'm sitting in right now. And we operate now out of the Spokane Valley, but, we've got sweet pink walls you can see there.
Yeah, I can see that.
We got, it's just cool. It's our own vibe. It's a place that we can come to create and challenge ourselves.
Approximately how big is the commissary? This
one is only 1,100 square feet. Okay. The one we were working out of was pretty massive. I think it was 4,000 square feet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But there was multiple businesses housed in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, this has worked out great. And
you've got your own commissary now.
Own commissary. Yep. I had actually bought it with another bakery owner. She was a startup. And as of last week, she has closed down her business, and I took over the entire space. And so here we are. Breaüxdoo is stationed here in the Valley. And then towards the end of this year, we're looking at retail.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So let's talk delivery are you doing your own delivery, or is it, can somebody do it through Uber Eats or, something
we're
like
doing
that?
our own delivery. Yeah. So
wow.
We have our own drivers. I actually have 4 delivery drivers. And it's just like, I always say, it's just like your favorite pizza place. So Domino's or Pizza Hut, when you see them, running down the road, we've got the light up toppers that say Breaüxdoo, and then they've got cookies on them. So it's, when you pass a car that's like, is that a cookie on that topper? And you're just like, so confused about the whole entire thing. Yes. It is just like pizza delivery. So, you just go on our website and place an order, and it gives you a time estimate, and then we show up with hot, warm cookies. It's very, very fun.
So about how long does it take to get the cookies delivered? I mean, that's obviously depends on where you're located, but Domino's used to have the 30 minutes or less thing until they got in trouble because their drivers were like killing people.
Yes, that, it's hard because I try to cover a majority of Spokane. So we go 12 miles, any direction. And that covers, a large majority of Spokane. But, on one end you have Cheney, and on the other you have Liberty Lake. So if you get an order that's in Cheney and in Liberty Lake, and then some in between and mixed around, you know what I'm saying? You are just, it's so basically as the tickets print, I'll kind of map them out. Usually, they fire rapidly. So, thankfully it's really it's worked out good, but some nights, it is difficult because you'll get the ones that are constantly the furthest away, and then opposite sides of it. And you don't have a drone, we're not in helicopters. So you will be. Yeah, right. Exactly. We're working on it, but
yeah. The cookie delivery drone. I can just see it now.
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are delivering to Cheney?
We are.
So students at Eastern on a Friday night can be getting hot chocolate chip cookies delivered to them.
Absolutely. And actually Cheney is one of the places I am looking at for retail, because they only have a Zips out there and they're open till 3 a.m. But, our hours we're open till 1 a.m. So having a late night dessert place in a college town, sounds good. Pretty lucrative. I mean, in the sense that you got a captive audience. Right.
So, okay. Wow. All right. So you've got 4 drivers. You're going 12 miles each direction.
Yep.
How big is Spokane now population wise? What do you think?
I think I know that it's 600,000, but I know I just saw a crazy metric that says will be up to 1 million by 2023 or something. It was like rapid growth because our real estate market is wild.
Yeah.
And so, I
didn't think Spokane was quite that big. Okay.
Yeah, it's great. Well, and they've been working on that north-south freeway forever. And so we're going to have to figure out something, because traffic here is getting to be like Seattle, where you just wait and wait and wait and wait. But yeah, it's cool. Growing up, I always wanted to live in the fun urban city, like Seattle. And now Spokane's kind of morphing into its own artsy, really heavy on food. It's really interesting.
Right. And we're gonna get to that, but I want to keep talking about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at I'm on your website right now, and I'm glad I ate before we recorded this, because I'd be unhappy.
Well, you know what? Unhappy. We actually just launched national shipping. So not only are we doing local delivery and pickup, we're doing national shipping, and then we rolled out wholesaling 2 months ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this photograph, and it looks like, and it's not, but it looks like, is this you pouring syrup into a stainless steel bowl?
It is. Yeah. That's our Instagram feed. So that was the latest.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this, and it looks like what caught my eyes. It looked like you were wearing a Kiss t-shirt, but you're not. It's something else. I can't quite tell. What is that t-shirt?
That's
totally a random question.
Yeah, no. That's a Gottmik t-shirt. It's my favorite drag queen. So they did a shirt that was kind of like Kiss.
Yeah, it kind of looked like. That's why I thought. I was like, oh, he's wearing.
Right. Everybody says, "Is that Kiss?" Yeah. No. Yeah. So, go ahead.
How many different types of cookies? And I can click on the order now. But how many? Tell us about your cookies, and how did you? Hollywood diet dough. Okay.
Hollywood diet. Yeah. So yeah, we've got 7 different flavors of cookies.
Okay.
We try and rotate them out, but the most recent one we just launched was our chocolate chip, which you think, that's weird. A cookie company hasn't had chocolate chip. Yes, for the very reason that everybody has a favorite chocolate chip cookie. So why would I put myself in a position to compete with grandma, right? So we launched that 2 months ago, and it's quickly became our number 1 seller. So
it is, huh?
Yeah, it bolted right up.
Okay.
And so, we try and do fun accommodations that you can't just get, wherever, to have that staple cookie to the Breaüxdoo name. But, we release a new cookie every couple months, not as often. We're not just solely a cookie company. We do cakes and other types of desserts. So actually, this is the first time I'm saying it, but next month we're launching sliced cake to your door. So not only will you be able to order hot cookies, you'll be able to order a 6-inch slice of cake, in whatever flavor you want. So chocolate, rainbow vanilla, carrot, Oreo, whatever. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, first off, I'm not clicking on the order button. So tell me about the Hollywood Diet dough. What type of cookie is the Hollywood Diet?
The Hollywood Diet is our peanut butter cookie. And so we just sell the dough individually, but the cookie itself is a peanut butter cookie with Butterfinger crumbing tops and then chocolate ganache.
All right. And then I love this one. Red rum. Love red that. Rum. That's red rum.
Yeah. And that's just, red velvet with some white chocolate chips.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So you're selling dough and the actual, so I could order dough. And I did get a kick out of it. The Hollywood Diet says contains eggs, not edible. So good.
Well, because you just got to keep yourself not liable for anybody that wants to eat dough, which is pretty much everybody. So. Right.
Mm-hmm. So you're selling, you've got milk. You've got
milk. We got energy drinks. We got Coca-Cola of Mexico.
I love it. I love it.
And people love cookies and caffeine. It's a great combo.
So the chocolate chips are number 1 seller. So this is a question I like to ask people, and I'm going to put you on the spot. So have you ever thought, we're going to make this cookie, like whatever, you're going to have to tell me what that might be. And you thought it was going to be really successful, and it just didn't.
Yes. So on our first round of menus, we launched the cherry chip cookie, which is a phenomenal cookie. I mean, really, it is. It hits all the flavor notes. It's chewy, it's light, it's vanilla, it's cherry, it's fresh. And it was our worst selling cookie, but the people that did like it are fan fanatics and DM me all the time about how pissed they are that we don't have the cherry chip. So you just can't win. Yeah. So that one was a flop, but cherries aren't very approachable. I mean, not everybody likes a cherry, but you can't detect the cherry in the cake. And growing up, my grandma always made the boxed Betty Crocker cherry chip cake. So I wanted to create a cookie that was the replica of that. Okay. And so we did. And that one was
that one didn't make it. Huh?
Didn't make it. No.
Okay. So why? Okay, so come back to the chocolate chip. You waited, and now that the way you said it was like, everybody's got their favorite chocolate chip cookie. Like when I was a kid, my dad worked for Nabisco, and so all my friends thought I was the luckiest guy in the world because I had a garage full of Nabisco products. Yeah. I mean, I'm not joking, garage full. And when I was in college, my dad would bring over broken cases of Nabisco products, and we sold them for 50 cents a pack. So I had the late night delivery thing going on, in the dorms many, many years ago at 50 cents a pack. I was a very popular guy around 2 a.m.
I love it.
And everybody loved the Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookie. That hard, dry,
boring,
nasty cookie. I just never liked them. So I get that people, where's your chocolate chip cookie on the spectrum? Describe your chocolate chip cookie and why you waited so long.
Yeah. So, we waited so long because I didn't want to rush putting out a cookie that I wasn't proud of. And so before launching, you have all this time to, I baked every single night, recipe development every single night. My girlfriend and mother-in-law and family and friends ate cookies and cake every single night for, a year and a half straight. And so, I had all that time to develop these recipes, and then you open a business and you think, I'm opening a business because I want to share my love of baked goods with people. And then you start having to retract and do business things like taxes and scheduling and business meetings and this and that. And so the less time I had in the kitchen for the production became apparent, and I didn't have the time to just sit around and formulate these recipes. And so I wanted to make sure that I did give myself the time to come up with a cookie that we were proud of. And so this cookie is a blend of 3 different sugars. It's got milk chocolate chips, which are my favorite, but it also has little pops of semi-sweet chocolate chips. So you're not just one note. And then we cover it in sea salt to give you that salty sweet.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it is seriously an amazing chocolate chip cookie, and there are so many good competitors. And so, yeah, this was a contender that I was super proud of. And that's when we were like, all right, well, now's the time.
Okay.
So it's done well. And I mean, people will literally order just a dozen chocolate chip cookies to their door. So yeah.
Wow. You were saying, and I'm just curious about something. You were saying that when you were testing everything, you and family and friends were, testing and eating cookies. Mm-hmm. How sick of cookies did you get? Did you get to the point where you're like, I don't want another cookie? I'm
beyond sick of cookies, let me tell you. People are always asking me, because you own the bakery, how many cookies you got? I said, honestly, since we've opened, I can count on one hand how many full cookies I've had. And yeah, cookies, I love cookies, but, there's another baker in town that I actually order from. Her name's Three Birdies, and she just does one cookie, but they're the decorative style cookies. So, the artful, but it's just a harder shortbread style cookie. And because I'm always around my softer cookies, I'm so sick of cookies that if there's one that I like, I'll eat it, but it's not very often.
Okay. So that's the unfortunate thing, is your love of cookies has become this love-hate relationship with cookies.
Yeah, for sure.
You're like, right. I love you, but I don't want to have you anymore. Cookie.
Yeah. Yes.
Any thought about doing like a brownie?
Yeah. So, because we started out with such slim margins, I had to grow the business in an organic way. So that's why next month we do custom cakes now. But next month we're adding, sliced cake to our production. And so we'll keep continuing to do that. When we have a retail bakery, we'll have a full bakery bar. So, there will be things like soft serve and cheesecake and brownies and blondies and lemon bar, things like that. But we're not retail facing. So I have to make sure that our menu's small, fresh, and not too overwhelming.
Sure.
Because people are only looking at it through a digital screen, not in person. And so the likeliness of, making sure that everything stays fresh and gets out the door is harder
You've done a great job on your website.
Thank you.
Things look, like I said earlier, I'm glad I ate, so I'm not really hungry.
Yeah, right.
You've done a good job of presenting the product. I could see,
Yeah, my little brother, he is into photography, so I pay him to, do some photos for me. And then my dad is a graphic designer, so all my logos and things like that are made by him. So the branding piece is really kind of a family ordeal, but
that's cool. That's great that you have that.
Yeah, for sure.
I love these conversations because I just, you'll say something or the guest will say something and I'll have like 12 different questions that are just not really related to what you just said, but somehow it clicked in my brain. Going back to delivery, and you're delivering them warm. Do you have like those pizza serving bags that the pizza guys show up? Or how are you keeping the cookies warm?
It's exactly identical to that. So we have a method that we hot hold the cookies. So we'll bake them off, hot hold them, and then from the hot holding station, we put them into a bag, and from the bag, it goes into a car, which are required to have heated seats. So the heat rises into the bag and keeps it warm. I mean, we're going 12 miles, and there's multiple stops on these. So by the time we've hit the last delivery, it could be an hour and 10 minutes, from our door to their house.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of methods that we do to ensure that they stay warm. I actually didn't start as a warm cookie company. We just delivered, room temp cookies like, normal people. But with, big competitors like Crumble Cookies and Insomnia, places like those that serve them warm, we had to figure out how to navigate the competition and give them a relatable experience. So we started doing that. And, really, we've had maybe 1 to 2 times where people haven't gotten warm cookies due to circumstances. I mean, it gets frigid here in Spokane, sometimes negative degrees. And so on those nights, it's been difficult, but the majority has worked out great.
Okay. That's awesome. You started off by saying Breaüxdoo. I knew as soon as I was going to try to say it, I'd screw it up. But Breaüxdoo. Yeah. How did you come up with the name? I mean, you made up a word, but what's the story there?
Yeah. So I was at work in 2017 with one of my coworkers, and I was just kind of telling her about the idea that I had. I'm always a dreamer. So anybody that's near me, I'm always telling them my next thing or this and that. And so, I knew that a baker and a bakery was my calling. And so whenever that voice arises in me, I have to answer it with everything. And so, I said, well, I want this cool punk rock bakery. I want it to feel like a tattoo shop because I wasn't a skilled artist in drawing. But I loved that culture, like a barbershop, tattoo shop. And so I knew that I loved Voodoo Donuts. Voodoo Donuts kind of had that feel. When you walked in, it was kind of edgy. It was fun. The donuts were all crazy. And then after working at Biscuit Bitch, I had realized, oh yeah, this is it. But I had said I wanted it to be, fun and exotic. And so I also wanted to offer coffee eventually. And so my coworker was like, well, you brew coffee and you like the word voodoo. We know that it needs to have the voodoo feel. And so she was like, brew and do. And so once she said that out loud, I was like, oh my God, that is it. Breüxdoo. But I hated the spelling Brewdoo. I mean, it just looked ridiculous to me. So we came up with this original spelling that makes no sense. If you try and sound it out, you're going to fail.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And so I knew that once we had it on paper, and the umlaut didn't come above the U until we were in the final stages of graphic design. And, my dad was like, oh, this pronunciation, you're taking a risk, if people can't pronounce it, that's less people that talk about it. But I knew I wanted it to be its own iconic image and look, like Coca-Cola. When you look at Coca-Cola, that that's it.
Right.
And so we added the umlaut to create the ooh sound, and, the X is silent, and it makes no sense at all. But yeah, I mean, that's how Breüüxdoo was formed. And the second I heard it, I knew that was, and, names, when you're coming up with anything, whether it's a character on a game, a business, this or that, it is hard. It's the hardest thing. And so when I fell in love with it, it was easy,
Okay. Yeah. It's I'm looking at it like, I'm on your website, and I just now noticed that the A in bakery is a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah. And actually that symbol changes. So anytime we do marketing, for St. Patrick's Day, it was a 4-leaf clover. For Valentine's Day, it was a heart. We have since changed the logo. So now it's a skull with a chef hat. And our slogan is go
towards that edgier punk rock look. Okay.
My dad he's a very clean, likes it to be, marketable. And I said, no, I need some part of myself in this image. I mean, and so he finally caved and just gave me that little emblem, which is so perfect. It's still recognizable but it's got some edge, and our slogan's fresh to death. So, when you get a package in the mail, we've got custom tape that has our logo that says fresh to death. And, it's just this whole fun experience. So yeah, we've finally gotten to that.
So have you gone and gotten the chef inked on you?
You know what? I haven't, but I should definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you got to be committed to the brand, right?
Amen. And I am. Yeah, I love it.
What was it? I thought was it Harley did it? And I think Domino's did it too. That they said if you got a Domino's tattoo, you'd get free pizzas or something like that. And people actually went out and people actually went out and got, I know it was Harley, and I want to say it was Domino's, and people went and got Harley tattoos and Domino's tattoos, and there you go.
We're gonna have to do that.
There's your contest. Free cookies for life or something like that.
Right.
I don't know. So you want to open up a retail space, a public facing space.
Yep.
And is it going to have that kind of edgy?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
For me, it was, kind of always, my design is inspired by like Kat Von D's LA Ink tattoo shop. So there were skateboards on the wall, guitars. It had the loud rock music, the cool Gothic chandeliers. So for me, and I have this Dropbox file of when I was living in Seattle and working on that Biscuit Bitch, and I had put everything that inspired me in this folder to give to my dad to say, okay, this is the feel. This is what I know I want it to look like. And so the whole idea has been based around that. But when we do retail, it'll be kind of like a glam goth kind of is the term, where it's dark but very nice and clean and fun.
Cool. That'll be fun. That'll be exciting to see how that. I think Spokane will take that very well. I mean,
yeah.
We were talking before we hit record about Spokane has changed a lot recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really kind of come up. So let me transition away from your bakery for a second. When you're not baking cookies, what do you do in Spokane?
Well, nothing too exciting. My girlfriend and I love to eat. So we pretty much eat at any restaurant we can. We've got the few that we frequent. But if not, not eating, we're at home, hanging out with our dog, or, just very generic casual things. But, we love the city. So, Riverfront Park's beautiful. They've got the cool waterfalls downtown. We'll go walk the Centennial Trail a lot. Just kind of getting out in nature and exploring and enjoying the city.
Put you on the spot. Best place to grab lunch in Spokane.
Oh boy.
For you, you're like, I'll paint the picture a little differently.
Okay.
I'm going to drive to Spokane. Mm-hmm. You and I are going to get together. We're going to have lunch.
Yep.
And you want to take me someplace that that'll make a statement. You'll be like, yeah, let's just go here.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah.
Boy, I used to work at Breaüxdoo, and so I love to go there for the wood-fired pizza, and their breadsticks, which are called the Quattro, are out of this world amazing. So good. 4 different cheeses on there.
Continue.
4 different cheeses on there. They use Beecher's based out of Seattle, and then a 3-cheese blend that they do in-house. But Breaüxdoo, and then which is in Kendall Yards, and then also Uni, which is in Kendall Yards. It's a sushi place.
Okay.
But their atmospheres there, they just have these beautiful patios. You get to sit out and overlook the city and river while enjoying, a slice. They'll do the night markets, which is such a fun event. They'll do those on Wednesdays during the summer, which we're at. Breüüxdoo's a part of that. And Kendall Yards in general has such cool businesses. So if I were to take somebody out for, a lunch or a dinner, it would be in one of those restaurants.
Okay. All right. I love this part, where I just, kind of like get people to like start sharing their places that are a little bit off of, the main path, if you will,
Yeah.
So it's like where would you get a cup of coffee in Seattle? Well, if you say Starbucks, okay, everybody can say
and
Starbucks.
You know what? Seattle actually does not have, I'm going to say it, not have that great of coffee. Spokane, I know. Well, and I lived on First and Denny-way. And so I guess,
we're going to debate this. How can you, I mean, I know Spokane's got good coffee. I'm not going to debate that with you, but there's some amazing coffee places in Seattle.
And I guess that let me rephrase this. The entirety of my existence was on First Ave. And so I had only gotten to try, I tried some places on Capitol Hill. I can't remember the names. And then there was one in Alki Beach, but it was one of those small Seattle chains. I can't remember the name of it. Something with a T.
Well, would it have been Tully's? It wouldn't have been
Tully's. Yep. Yeah. I tried them. I tried First Ave coffee, biscuit bitch serve coffee.
What they serve? What coffee did they?
7, I think is what it's called. 7. 7.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
There's literally hundreds of coffee roasters.
There is. So the First Ave coffee sucks. The avenue on First Ave, or the coffee on First Ave, because that's where I lived. So I just tried all those spots. But for me, I've gotten to try every single coffee place in Spokane, and there is so many of them. I mean, every block has a coffee stand, and every coffee stand is full and has a line. Yeah. And it's funny because you travel outside of the PNW to go get coffee, and nobody does it like we do. I mean, people have no idea. My girlfriend was just in California, and she had asked for a doppio, and they had no idea what a doppio was. And you go, what? And so, PNW coffee, just in general, I think this might be biased, but I think we take the cake.
We've got, yes, we have some amazing coffee roasters, got great coffee experiences.
Yeah.
Even though I'll, gently poke fun at Starbucks, from a touristy standpoint, next time you go to Seattle, you absolutely should go. Have you ever been to Disneyland?
Of course.
Have you been to Vegas?
I have.
Okay. So imagine combining the overstimulation of Vegas and Disneyland into a coffee experience.
Right.
The Starbucks roastery is you pretty much feel your wallet being emptied as you walk in. It's that Vegas feel, like you're walking in going, I'm not coming out of here with money. I just know I'm not. And everything is copper, and it's absolutely just, if I lived in Seattle, I wouldn't go there because it's too much.
So it's a touristy roast house where you can go watch them make the coffee?
And they sell all their super high-end coffees that you can only get in the roastery. And they have wood-fired, they bought I can't remember the company they bought, but they bought a wood-fired pizza place. They've got a full bar with coffee-inspired drinks.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
Well, while it's a national brand, at the very least, it was, originated in Seattle. So it has that piece of history, which is neat.
Right. No.
But yeah, it's definitely the corporate coffee. But with that being said, go ahead.
Well, when you open it, put you on the spot. When you open up your retail space, have you picked your coffee yet?
Yeah. So we're going to use Anvil. Anvil Coffee Roasters. And I think I told you this story off camera, but there used to be this coffee shop named Cannon Coffee, and it was on Cannon Street in Brown's Addition. Just this tiny, it's now Bijou, which is a little cocktail bar. It seats 4 people. And yeah, it's tiny. And they used to source their milk from a farming standpoint. And then they used Monin syrup, which not many people were using Monin syrup at the time. They were using Tarani, or I think that's the name, Tarani.
Yeah.
And then they were using Anvil. And I would drive all the way from the valley down there, which isn't, obviously that crazy, but to go get one vanilla latte or whatever it was. It was so good. It was so good. And they had this little, their little stamp on their cup was of Spock. And so,
Okay.
and then you could just grab your little coffee, walk the cool historic neighborhood. But the coffee itself was so good. And they used Anvil, and I didn't ask him at the time, but when I was working at Breaüxdoo, the guy that owned Canon sold it and started a tap cleaning business. And so he would come in and clean our taps, and I didn't know that was him. And I was telling him, oh my God, there used to be this coffee shop. And he was like, well, that's funny because I own that. And I was like, no way, you got to tell me what coffee you used. And then it was Anvil. And so ever since that's the one.
Okay. So you don't have to go through the whole testing coffees and getting sick of coffee.
No, and there's so many coffee places to choose from in Spokane. And a majority of them are good. But when you have that emotional experience with whatever it is, that's why Anvil is the one for me. So.
No, and you'll be able to do something great with it when you open your place. It'll be, I agree. It just won't be the, some other delicious coffee, but with no emotional connection. You won't pass that through.
Exactly.
So there's so many questions I have about the cookies and all that, but when you open your retail space, you'll still do delivery at night? You're still going to keep that's.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think there's something exciting about getting dessert delivered to you. I don't know. It's just, somebody shows up to your door, and how can that be a bad experience? Hey, here's some cookies.
Here's some cookies.
And they just bring you joy. So I think that I couldn't take that portion of the business away. When that's how we originated. And just driving around town and seeing all these light up toppers that say Brew with cookies on them, it just creates this cool atmosphere. And so I wouldn't want to pull that because people have just, been loving it. While I might add though, that the margins are very slim when you have delivery drivers that go 12 miles because they could be gone for an hour and a half with only 4 orders, as opposed to having retail. So when we introduce retail, we're able to face the customer and have that experience available while having delivery drivers, driving. And so, we launched wholesale and we're almost in 20 vendors in under 2 months. And so you can pretty much find our cookies.
In Spokane, or where can people find your cookies?
We're only in one place that's not in Spokane. It's called Grandma's Attic in Omak.
Okay.
It's just like a little antique retail shop, I think. I mean, I haven't been there, but from their Instagram. But we do ship wholesale nationwide. We just, we haven't really marketed it because we're experiencing this growth, and trying not to force ourselves into too much, but just letting it happen organically. So, while we have these cool 30-quart mixers here, I've got a 2 that I'm sitting next to. We need to upgrade them to the 80-quart because we're doing so much cookie dough. And so, we're doing a couple thousand cookies a week, close to 4 or 5. And, we hand scoop every single cookie. And, mix them. And so, we're just trying to figure out how we can maximize and keep upgrading, because we're getting pretty to the point where our production's big. And so, our outreach will start. But,
kitchen equipment's so inexpensive. It's no big deal.
It really is. It's not like an 80-quart mixer. It's the price of a new car. I mean, give me a break.
Come on. Yeah, they are about that much, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah. I mean, some of them, are $40,000-$50,000. So
that's a lot of money. That's a lot of cookie dough.
You know how many cookies you got to sell to make just the payment on that? My goodness.
Yes. Well, I don't, but yeah.
Right.
So you're not open every night of the week, right? We're not 7 days a week.
We're not. No, because we haven't had a storefront. We can only do so much marketing. And so without people knowing where we exist and are, I like to cram our business into those 4 days to make sure that we maximize, how many people we can reach, rather than just, I'd rather reach 100 people on a Friday night than 25 on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You know what I'm saying? And we will expand that, but just trying to make sure that, I can keep growing and allowing it to be smooth.
So what night of the week is the busy cookie night? Is one night busier than others typically?
Saturday is always our busiest.
Okay.
Yeah, just because, Friday night, people are getting home from work, typically exhausted, so they probably go to bed earlier. But Saturdays, your one fun, exciting night. You're staying up late. You can sleep in Sunday. And so, yeah, our Saturday nights are busy. And then Wednesday nights are pretty busy too, because those days that we're closed, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we keep our ordering online. And so people can queue to be delivered on Wednesday.
Okay.
And so usually we'll have a heavy start. Yeah.
Okay. And what time? So you deliver till 1?
Yeah. So Wednesday, Thursday, we deliver 7 p.m. to midnight. And then Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. to 1 a.m.
So do a lot of people really get cookies at 12:30 at night?
They really do. It's
really?
pretty, it is. We were originally open till 3 a.m. and that was a bust. Because I think as the years go on and we become more established and people know that we're up and operating, we'll stay busy throughout those hours. But because Spokane's not used to this urban concept, which you can find in Seattle, in Texas, in Los Angeles, New York, as we keep growing that name, I think we'll be busy then. But the difference between us and all those other companies that are based out of those the cities are they only do cookies. And I didn't want to just be a cookie baker. I wanted to be, a pastry chef that could do everything. And so being self-taught, I buy my Culinary Institute of America books, and I'll just go through those recipes and practice and do those and try technique and taste and test. And so we're going to roll out, like I said, those other items, but all of those items I want to be available for delivery. So if you want ice cream, deliver. If you want a slice of cake,
but see, ice cream's going to be a little tough with the heated seat. You're going to have to.
It is. So you redirect it and you get the padded coolers with dry ice. And, then they're not going to melt for hours. And we'll never be in the delivery car for hours. So it's there's ways around it that become technical, but it is possible. The other thing is coffee delivery. So, you want to order a latte? Perfect. We'll bring it to you. And on those types of deliveries, on warm coffee, we would have to shorten our range. So, if you want, it'd be 4 miles, but the goal is to franchise Breüüxdoo to where we have multiple locations, not only in Spokane, but all over the U.S. And so having this, like I said earlier, when I am always talking about what I'm envisioning and manifesting, and I always, it consumes every thought of my brain morning to night until it becomes, what it is. But, for me, it's just having that iconic brand that was like, a Dairy Queen or, where you would drive by and you just can't not stop. You got to get a cookie. You got to get some soft serve. And so I wanted to be able to offer that to more people outside of Spokane.
So you're envisioning a future where there's opportunities to pick up your own Breüüxdoo Bakery franchise.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you, man.
Thanks. I think it's important to just whatever you're doing. For me, sky's the limit. If you listen to everybody else, that when I was starting this, people couldn't believe. They're like, "You're going to do what? You're going to run a bakery out of a train station?" And I'm like, "Well, here's the deal. It's my only choice. So I'm either going to try it and make it work, or I'm going to regret not doing it." And so I just tried it out, and we've maintained 5-star ratings everywhere. And so I always laugh. I was like, well, we're a 5-star bakery out of a train station. It was just so funny. And I think that's part of the experience and just the American dream is you can take whatever you want, whether it's nothing, and turn it into what you want it to be. And so, every day I set a new unrealistic goal for myself that, I don't consider it unrealistic, but the general public does. And people that think like that will never live their dream. And I think that's sad. So Yeah.
So first off, I don't know how old you are, but looking at you on the screen here, you're in your 20s.
25.
You know, you're not very, okay. So you're 25. You're a quarter of a century old.
Yep.
I had a midlife crisis at 25. I thought it was all
Oh, good. Yeah. Mine was, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
When I hit 25, things flipped.
So, but your mindset is awesome. So were you raised that way? I mean, where'd you get this?
Yes and no. I wasn't raised with money. It was, I had a difficult childhood, which I think a lot of people experience. And for me, it was always the only thing that kept me going was just that I could be whatever I wanted. And, putting a barrier between myself and whoever it was that I looked up to or admired, I just didn't like that thought. I thought, no, we're the same, whether, we come from different backgrounds or this or that. And I can be where you are. And so for me, it was like a vision board in my head that I knew this life that I wanted to live. And I knew that I was never going to accept anything less because I would be unhappy. And, as people tell you, and as you keep getting older, life's short. And so why not just try it out? The worst that's going to happen is you fall on your ass and you have to do it again, which, I filed bankruptcy at 23. So, there's many things that have knocked me on my ass and said, what are you doing? But I would have no purpose if I didn't continue.
But don't you find that you've learned maybe more from that getting knocked down?
1,000%. And also growing up and not having, money or having the coolest this or that or having anything handed to you. I mean, at 16, I was mowing lawns to pay for my car insurance and phone bill. And those types of things make you hungry. And instead of just having it given to you, that there's hard work ahead. But that creates the thought that, well, you can have whatever you want. You just have to work for it. And so I am appreciative of the way that I was raised because I wouldn't be so hungry. I mean, I listen to Dave Ramsey a lot, the financial advisor, and he was telling the story that one of his mentors said, you have to be hungry. And it's not hung, it's hong, because you have to emphasize that you have to really want whatever it is. And so because that I have this like burning fire in me, it's like I can't put it out unless I get it. Which is
because so many of us we say we want something and then something difficult happens,
right?
And we just give up. Okay, well, I'm not going to do that because I had a bad day.
Yeah,
you don't seem to have that in you. You seem to have this persistence and drive.
Yeah,
and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And, and you're hungry and you're selling cookies. That's, it's a bad combo.
I know that's a great combo.
So why don't we wrap this up by you telling everybody where they can find you at and make sure you spell the name so that they can go to the website and all that. But where should people look for you guys?
So you can find us on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Google, and our website is just breaüxdoo.com, and that's B as in boy, REAUXDOO bakery.com. And from there, you can ship cookies to your house. If you're local to Spokane, you can order them to your door. If we're not open and you want to stop by a coffee stand, they're there. If there's a coffee stand that they're not at, send us a DM and we will reach out to them. You can pretty much, everything's just online based for us.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
All right. Anything else that we need to know about?
No.
What didn't I ask you that we should bring up?
I don't think anything. I think that, you know what my plan 5 years from now is. So I think we've covered it all.
We're going to check back in.
Amen.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah. And then, so one last thing, cakes are going to go slices of cake?
Yep. They go live in the middle of April. No set date yet, but it'll be the second week. So,
that's exciting.
If you've ever been to Carlo's Bakery,
I have not.
Yeah. So they launched cake vending machines in malls. So you can just, click the button and it dispenses a slice of cake. And so that's what we're wanting to offer, same style here to Spokane. And then you'll be able to ship the slices of cake to your door as well nationally.
So how are you, Chris, we're trying to wrap this up and now I've got more questions.
That's okay.
How are you shipping these things so that they're maintaining freshness?
So cookies are easy because there's no, risk. They're the lowest risk baked good that you can do. However, cake is a different thing. So you have to have a foam box, and you put the cake inside the foam box with ice packs. And then outside of the foam box, you put dry ice to keep that all cool. And then you ship it 2-day air. And it would make it with just the dry ice, but we had ice packs for, just shipping delays and things like that. And the way I learned this was, there's a couple bakeries that do this. A big website you can order baked goods from multiple bakeries is called goldbelly.com. And so I was testing before I opened Breaüxdoo. I had ordered a bunch of just, market research. I wanted to see how in the hell were they shipping cake?
Sure. Market research. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, right. Yeah. Market research and a good snack. And so that the way they came and, I took pictures, I took measurements of the boxes. I looked at labels. I looked at all these cautionary things. And so, it's simpler than you think, but it's wild to get a whole cake on your doorstep from a different state. I mean, it is so fun. I order it like once a month just to have just different bakeries on Goldbelly. It's just so fun. So
that's pretty cool. That's all right. So I appreciate you being on. This is well, we're going to check back in because, if you start delivering to Wenatchee, we'll be there for the late night cookie delivery in Wenatchee. If you want to start, driving another 170 miles or so.
Yeah. Might as well.
But, we'll put links below so people can find you. And, this is just, I am impressed, man. I am really happy for you. I'm glad you are doing this for yourself. That's good on you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.